All right, guys. All right, guys, we will get started. Will you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Making sure I am all set up. Hey, Jeff is trying to get Jeff on here. Oh, thank you, Melanie. Looky here.
Hello, lovely.
Well, I'm going to adjust my volume. You know, I always have my volume up loud, whether it's out of my mouth or on my device. How are
I
you,
can't,
my friend?
good. I can't believe a couple old dinosaurs like us actually got this figured out.
No, having a husband that was an art director, he came in here. He's got a light over here. I'm using his earphones, but I'm trying to be independent of him and figure out how to do this all on my own without his help. So each time I'm going to get a little better, but I'm proud of us.
Yes, you look the part. I mean, you look like you've been doing this. You got it going.
Well, I do love I love performing. You know that,
Yes,
Jeff. I want to
yes, you
give
too.
people a couple more minutes or just a minute or two to get in here. Looks like we've got a lot of people joining. Jeff, can you see the names coming up at the bottom?
I can.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Because I'm asking you that because I'm very ADD, and when I was doing this with Francesca, people afterwards are like, "Hey, did you see what I wrote?" And I asked you a question. I was like, "No, I was just trying to focus because I get so distracted easily." So anyway,
Right.
working together, we'll be able to answer questions or see what people are
Molly.
asking. They're saying hi. See, okay, see, you're better at this. You're not as
Well,
ADD as I am.
uh, uh,
Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Jeff, first of all, thank you so much for joining me today. This is something that I really felt in my heart I wanted to start doing and take advantage of. I know you and I both feel similarly with social media. It's kind of a love hate. And so I
mm,
thought, you know what? If I could use this platform to say all the things that aren't being said because people are still trying to keep a polished version of themselves using social media, but this could actually become a platform where we inspire and talk about hard things and real things and happy things and sad things and joyful things, like all the things, then maybe this is using it for a positive. And so you're my first guy friend, girl, guy friend, doesn't matter, being on here. You're near and dear to me. And so I appreciate you joining me today.
well, the pleasure's all mine, my friend. Anytime to shoot the shit with you is a good time.
No, I know. I was thinking I had to teach class and I was driving. I was like, okay, now, Elizabeth, don't forget that you got people watching because you and I together we'll start riffing and I did tell my classes like if you want to watch Instagram live, I'm speaking with Jeff and I said two unfiltered people are going to be chatting it up.
Yeah.
Fitness is our theme. I want us to talk about a lot of things, and the theme is that fitness has brought us together, and the people that I'll be bringing on Instagram live, and I'm going to try to do every Friday at noon, that's the theme. Fitness has brought us together, but we're not going to just talk about fitness. A friend of mine, she's a dear friend of mine, Tanja, told me a week ago, she's a flight attendant and she likes looking good, but she doesn't like working hard to look good. And she said, Elizabeth, if you're just talking about fitness, a lot of people, she said, I'm good for about 10 minutes and I'm out of here. I want to hear other things as well. So I
Mhm.
said, done and done. And I've got the first guy to do that. So, with further ado, Jeff, I think a lot of people, you've been very open about your story. You've been very, very transparent about what brought you to Sokol Strong and where you are today. Um, and I would love for you if you would share kind of the journey for those that are still continuing to join that maybe don't know or haven't heard your story or seen it on YouTube. If you could maybe lead it off, like, how did you get where you are today? Like, what were the events that brought you to Sokol Strong and where you are today?
Well, gosh, so many, as you know. But I guess, going to the beginning of all things, I was born in California, right?
You
And
are
then
a sperm. You are a
yes, I was a
sperm. I
sperm
love
way
that
back, you
that
know.
meme you made.
Yeah, that was my first Throwback Thursday picture. It was a sperm. It was way back, like way in the beginning. So yeah, I was a sperm, and then my mom had me real young, single mom, and when I was about 3, we ended up in this little logging town, Morton, Washington. And to be honest, I don't know how we ended up there. My mom, has tried to tell me the story a couple times, bless her, and maybe I shouldn't even be saying this out loud, but she gets upset, and so I don't know about my real father. I know nothing, not even a name, and that's all right, right? But anyways, yeah. So I grew up in this small little town. It was a logging community, so I was kind of raised around rough and tumble men, and one of those places where people worked really hard. And so I did develop a work ethic and stuff as a young guy, which I appreciate, and I did all the hunting, growing up, fishing, doing all those wonderful things. The path of fitness definitely was never a thing that I thought I was going to get into, right? I played the sports, I did all that stuff, the football, baseball, and all those things, but I never would have thought I'd become a coach at any point. If anything, it would have been maybe coaching like little league baseball or football or something like that, right? But anyways, growing up there, like any small town kid, might have been sheltered a little bit, right? I mean, maybe not very cultured. Wasn't worldly by any stretch of the imagination. I was just kind of just one of those small town guys. I wouldn't call myself a redneck or anything like that, but more of kind of a mountain manny type. But when I was a junior in high school, my dad that raised me, my dad, he figured it was time to get out of the logging industry because that was going nowhere back in 88, 89. And we moved to Mount Vernon, Washington, which is 60 miles north of Seattle. And I had 23 kids in my graduating class in Morton. And in Mount Vernon, there was more people in the high school than was in the whole town, right? So I guess I didn't leave with them at first. I said, "You guys go. I'm staying here. There's no way in hell that I'm leaving this little town my junior and senior year." And then I realized that parents say these things like money doesn't grow on trees and all this stuff, and that was true. And at least I was a decent enough human being that I didn't want to mooch off of people, even when I was a junior in high school, because I had families offer for me to stay there, but I felt really guilty about it, because in a town like that, there's not a lot of people making six figures that have a lot
Yeah.
of money to give away, right? And I didn't, but anyways, moved up to Mount Vernon and got a lot more culture, got to see a lot of different things, and really enjoyed it. I think it ended up being a really good move for me. It really helped me be more of a complete person, right? And then, but I was not happy about it at first. So it caused a lot of tension between my mom and me, and all these things. And my senior year in high school, right after I graduated, I really didn't know what I was going to do, and my mom and I had a kind of a knockdown, drag out, and I don't know if I've ever said this out loud, but during this, I was throwing a fit and I kicked a table and like broke it, and and she was nervous because I was pretty strong and angry, even though I would have never done anything to my mother, but so the cops got called, and I went and spent the night in jail. And that was a big eye opener.
Where was jail? Was it north of here, like in the
Yeah, it was in the
boondocks?
Skagit County Jail,
Okay.
right? And the funny
Okay.
thing
Okay.
was, or not funny, but the who checked me into jail was one of my best friend's dads. He was a sheriff, and he's like, "What was Clint with you?" No, Clint wasn't with me. But I don't recommend
Oh,
I don't recommend going to jail, but if you do, don't be a smartass, because I was a smartass. So my jail clothes, I had they gave me triple extra large pants and an extra small shirt, and they gave me like size, like maybe 6 shower shoes. So I had to like shuffle around holding my pants up, right? So just do what they tell you. If
Yeah.
you screw up,
Yeah.
submit, right? But anyways, after that, it was kind of one of those, what am I doing, man? College, awesome, but all I would have did was keg stands and womanize. Honestly, I knew that was it. So the military became the choice, right? So uh, shortly after that, going to jail and all that stuff, without talking to my parents or anything, I went down, signed up, and then took off to that, which was the best thing that could have happened for me. It. I'm a guy that I've realized that structure is extremely important, and there's nothing more structured than leaving, not knowing what the hell you're doing, to showing up at boot camp and being told what to do every day. And
Yeah.
as long as you did what you were told and you did good at that, you were going to excel. And I was always good at doing
Yeah.
that type of thing, right? So, yeah, and then I spent um, a few years quite a few in the military. I was stationed in Coronado, California at first. That was my first duty station. And at age 18, or just turning 19, coming from that little logging town and then the Skagit Valley, being in Coronado, California and San Diego was a whole nother world, man. I was like, wow, this is living, you know.
I
Um,
made a good choice.
yeah, it was good, right? And
Yeah.
then um, it happened pretty quick into my military deal. We our unit deployed to the Mogadishu thing there in Somalia, and then a whole ton of life lessons happened in that, right? Really understanding for the first time in my life how lucky I was to win the lottery of being born in the United States of America. And although, I grew up in a double wide trailer. Um, you know, we didn't have much, right? We had enough. I never,
Yeah.
I mean, I got Christmas presents, I got that. I ate food, we had a garden, everything was fine. I wasn't, but I thought I was poor, right? Um, and then you go to a place like that and you realize really fast how freaking lucky you really are. And it's being born here is winning the lottery, and you either blow that lottery, you completely waste it, or you take advantage and do what you can do. And there's a lot of people out there that supposedly had no advantages at all that are doing wonderful things every day, no matter where they came from, no matter color, creed, religion. If you put in the work, no one's going to hold you back, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's simple. I mean, I hate to say it, and some people might get triggered by that, but there's opportunities.
Yeah.
It's maybe harder,
Yeah.
depending on where you came from, your background, but they're there. It's just your choice to take them or not, right?
Yeah. So what year did you get out of the military?
Oh my gosh, my
Do you
brain.
remember? I
Yeah,
know.
it would have been like 1998-ish or something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, in the Mogadishu deployment was most people probably have seen like that Black Hawk Down, that type of
Yeah.
era. It was
Yeah.
during that era, right? There wasn't really, unlike these people serving today, God bless them. The 20 years of just conflict, and it was different
Yeah.
back then, right? It was that
Yeah.
pre
Yeah.
9/11 thing, and
Yeah.
I'm happy that I did get to go there, right? Because it was life changing and
Yeah.
whatnot, in some good ways and in some bad. There was
Yeah.
a lot of stress and a lot of things involved in something like that. A lot of sadness,
Yeah.
being in a country where literally the people there were fighting for their lives every day. And then here we are complaining that our Wi-Fi's down, right? But
I love I mean, that's so true. I've been to Africa as well, and we live in a very affluent area outside of Seattle. And when we moved here, my oldest was going into ninth grade, my middle third, and my youngest was kindergarten. And I've always like had this coach mindset, like Pat had some. It's like, and my boys knew, it's like, if you get arrested, do not call me. You'll spend your ass in jail. I believe like the work ethic, the consequences. Then I moved to this very affluent area, and that's not the norm here. And one time, the high school principal even said, because I was, I'm sober 30 years. So the fact that the alcohol and drugs, the parents turned a blind eye on and absolutely encourage it here. The principal told me one time, she's like, Elizabeth, you're 10% of the parents. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand
Yeah.
that mindset as a parent. So I love that you bring that up. Like, it's easy to get overwhelmed with the state of affairs in our country right now. And you being a serviceman. But the fact is, when you've traveled to some of these other places where they're sweeping their dirt floor, they take such respect that
Yeah.
their dirt floor is their floor, but they sweep it and they take care of it. And they got 10 people crammed into a mud hut. And
Yeah.
then seeing the things that you saw, being in the military, it really puts things in perspective. And I think it's so important to flip the switch sometimes and remember the reality of what we have been born into. And it's easy to, when you're surrounded with affluent or just ease. I think ease is a killer. Like
Yeah.
being things too easy, I think it really just fucks us up and
Yeah.
not a good way. So
Yeah.
I love that you said that, and I really appreciate you sharing your upbringing too, because you are a great example of breaking out of that system, choosing to go into the military to bring structure into your life, which one of my sons did the exact same
Yeah.
thing. He chose to go in the Navy as well because he thought if he didn't, he would end up dead or killing somebody. And that was his way of bringing structure into life. And now he's this amazing young man, go be a freaking officer.
I love
So, yeah. So, okay. So, Jeff, so now you're out of the military.
it.
And then what was your next path to get you towards where you are today? What were your other choices?
Well, I always thought that I really wanted to be a man of service, right?
Yeah.
When I got out. So I wanted to join the fire service or the police department or something like that, But after, I know it sounds silly, but after that Mogadishu thing and like one of our jobs there was rebuilding an orphanages and things like that, right? And we had guns and we were doing all these things and the kids were still dying,
Yeah.
and I just felt like even no matter what we did, that you couldn't fix it, right? And then also I knew that if I would have got into that, especially like the police department or something, the first time that I walked into a house and there was a child or somebody that couldn't defend themselves sitting in the corner crying and beat up, and the asshole that did it was right in front of me. Right? I don't know if I have the discipline that these people are asked to have,
Yeah.
So that kind of threw that out to lunch, right? And then
Yeah.
my basic background was ditch digger stuff, right? I mean, that was it. I really
Yeah.
didn't have a college education, I mean, I did good enough in school to play sports. That's what I did, right? That's what I did. And, and if I could tell anybody, do your homework, man. Do more than the bare minimum just to play sports, because it will open some doors for you, right? So when I got out, hell, I didn't have any time at all, really. I got out and, my dad was working for the city of Mount Vernon, the street department. And he said, hey, Jeff, one of the garbage men had a heart attack. And they're looking for someone to fill his spot temporarily, right? So Like right when I got out, I drove home, and the next thing you know, it was like old school, like Men at Work, right? That movie. I was riding behind a garbage truck, hucking cans, getting told to slow down, because I was going too fast. I was just loving, I mean, it was the simplest job. There was really nothing to think about, but I guess after deploying and changing duty stations and stuff, when a lot of people get out, maybe it's hard to just kind of be in one place again.
Yeah.
So I was like, God dang it, I feel like I just need, after a year and a half or two, that I need to change it up again, right? So I had a little Toyota truck that I bought with some of the money that I saved in the military, and I put what I could fit into it, and I drove to Utah. And what I was looking for at the time, I was like, okay, so what I want to do is find a place that I've never really been, that I can snowboard, I can hike, I can mountain bike. And so I narrowed it down to Colorado or Utah. And Colorado's great, but all of the resorts are like away from the city. So, there's it takes a lot of money to live in Steamboat, Colorado, or
Or Aspen.
Or Aspen, right? And, Mr. Moneybags here wasn't going to be able to do that. So I narrowed it down to Utah. And I got this crazy job there where I was out in the middle of the West Desert, working at a place that treated hazardous waste, contaminated soils, getting rid of the lead that was used to actually encapsulate radioactive materials and stuff, like kind of Homer Simpson shit, right? But it was high paying. It was a great deal. And even though I'm a knucklehead, I always had the ability to follow directions and to work hard. So I moved up really fast in that, that company, and things were going pretty good. I bought my first house, and then met a young lady, and ended up getting married, and that lasted about 2 years. Got divorced, and most of that is on me. I've had emotional problems for my whole life. It's like the closer I get to somebody, the further I push people away sometimes, and that's self-admitted. And I'm working on that still to this day. But anyway, so after that, I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? I'm not staying in Utah anymore. I did that. And what I did is I was like 35 years old, and I was like, what's something that I've always wanted to do that I'll probably never be able to do again? And it sounds silly, but what that was being a lifty at a mountain resort, right? So I went up to Solitude Mountain Resort, and I had the whole winter left, and I had my house there still, and I was like, hey, do you guys hire old 35-year-old dudes to work on a mountain? And they're like, yeah, buddy. We'll start you as a ticket checker, and then if you do good, you'll be a lift operator. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds good, right?
I don't think I knew this part, Jeff.
Yeah, right. So I ticket check for half a day, and they're like, well, this guy knows what he's doing. So the next day, I became a lift operator, and there was so much healing that happened during that winter, of just snowboarding, sitting at the top shack, just looking at the mountains and just being with people. And I have that kind of personality where I can get along with people pretty easily. And
you can talk to anybody.
And I had these young bucks just having a good time, and it was wonderful. And I did that for the whole winter, just snowboarding every day, being up there, just taking in nature and all that. And then I was like, well, it's time to go. And when I left Utah, even though I had a house and a marriage and all these things, I basically filled what I could fit in that little Toyota truck again. Well, I had upgraded. I got a slightly bigger Toyota truck at that point. And I drove back to Mount Vernon, not really knowing what I was going to do, right? And so I called my buddy, my fisherman buddy, who I ended up fishing in Alaska with later down the line. But I was like, hey, buddy, I'm heading back to Mount Vernon, man. I miss you. I just want to come by and say hi. And he had a duplex, and right behind his duplex was a company that delivered out of semi trucks, so like Subways and bars and restaurants, and it was a small family-owned thing. And the so right behind that was the company, and the owner son lived right over here, who kind of ran the transportation part and everything. And rest in peace, he died shortly after getting a medical treatment for the current situation in this world, of a sudden heart attack while drinking coffee. But who knows? But anywho, love him, miss him dearly. But he comes over, and he's a really animated guy, really amazing guy. And he's like, damn it, somebody, he was supposed to be going to Hawaii in like 3 weeks or something. And he said that one of the drivers had stuck his hand in a Subway till for $5, and it was on camera. And it was a smaller company, so he was stressed out. And I didn't have a job. And Steven goes, I vouch for Jeff. This guy can do it. He's like, you ever drove a semi? No, I don't know. And he's like, well, if you can get your CDL in 3 weeks, I will hire you. So again, no break. Got home that Monday morning. After meeting him, I got up at midnight, jumped in with a delivery guy, and learned the process. 3 weeks later, got my CDL, and being loyal to a fault, I told him, if you hire me, I will give you 5 years of work for helping me get the CDL and doing all this stuff. So next thing you know, I'm out driving semis around Seattle. Hardest thing I've ever done.
I can't imagine.
Learning how to do that job, it would take me like 3 shots to, I could barely drive when I got set free, right? To just get on the freeway. I'd miss a gear, like, Right?
Well, and all the hills here. We have all these hills. I cannot. I can't imagine you doing. I can't imagine you doing that, actually, but I can't imagine you doing that.
The one thing about it is, I would get up like at 11 o'clock at night, and then I would drive all night, come home, try and sleep in the day. But I was physically working. It was like loading a hand truck full of stuff and going. And just like everything else, I got a system down. I figured it out. I broke it down. I got to a point where I knew when I backed into a Subway, if I had my back tire on this parking stall, when I open my ramp, it's going to fall down and be right in the door, And then I got to loading those hand trucks up so heavy that I'd have to carry extra axles, because I would break axles with a hand truck all the time, right? But anyways, what I'm getting at is that kept me physical.
Yeah. Okay.
And it kept my mind busy. I had to work, So, So I did that for 6 years or so, and then my buddy got me on to the Department of Transportation. Love him, Clint Twilliger, the same guy that his dad checked me into jail. He helped me, because those jobs are about who you know a lot of the times, And he helped me get that job, and that was supposed to be my life job, right? Benefits. All that stuff, and great job for the right people, right? But wasn't for me. It was my first time, aside from the military, being in like this major bureaucracy and just all this stuff, and there were some really hard workers there, especially when it would snow or there'd be a windstorm and we were plowing snow or cutting trees out of the road and all that stuff. But when it wasn't busy, it was a lot of just like people working harder to stay out of work than work. So during that phase, I was like, man, I can't fight this. Either I have to become this or I'm going to go crazy. So that's when I got up to like 250 pounds, hating everything about that in my life. And that's when the demons of the past and depression and stress and just, the stuff that people deal with every day, some people deal with it better than others, but it got me, and it got me bad.
Okay, so stop there for a minute, Jeff, because I think it's really, really important when we're in this industry, you and I and others are in this industry. I know, and a lot of people following you are in the fitness world, but you also have normal people, whatever. I think it's really important to acknowledge and to hammer home that just because we're in this industry of health and wellness and fitness does not mean that we don't struggle with shit. I tell my people all the time, I say, like body image, eating disorders, like that's been a big part of my past while I've been in fitness. I'm just super comfortable being in front of people and
Yeah.
being a performer and a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, like you just mentioned, a lot of people, I don't know if they realize you were 250 pounds, because what they see now is this shredded, ripped, like amazing physique of this man that looks like he loves lifting kettlebells, and he does it so easily. And so I think it's really important for to hammer that home. It's like we are no different. Like our strategies of coping may look different from others, but that's a prime example. Like I was really heavy at one point in my past as well, but 250 pounds. Okay, so the demons start entering into or start speaking a little louder from your past. All right, proceed.
Yeah. So, but I'm in another relationship at this point, right? And I bought another house, and this when it all came to a head, it was during that housing crash, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, again, um, not saying that my battle is any harder than any others, and a lot of people had the same things going on and just handled it better than I did. But I I started hating myself, like deeply, and yeah. So that took over, and that ruined another relationship because I couldn't be there for myself. So obviously, I couldn't be there for anybody else. And I was still working for that DOT. I knew I had to get out of there. There was this one particular individual, and I don't like to hold grudges, but if I saw him again, it would take everything I had not to twist his head off of his shoulder. Honestly, like everything, it would take every amount of discipline I had not to just crush this human being, right? So
Ooh,
yeah, he
that's
had
hard.
the ability to take his insecurities out on what he considered to be more of an alpha male than him or something, right? So he was just
Oh,
on my stuff all the time, right? And then
oh,
one day he cornered me in an office in a small space, and I told him, I said, you got like less than a second to get out of here, out of my space, or I'm going to run through you, and you're not going to like it at all. And you're going to the hospital, I'm going to jail, period. And then one of the coworkers was sharing an office with me, diffused that just in time.
yeah.
And anyway, so once that happened, I had to be out of there, right? But I think just before this is when that thing happened is when I had ordered that silly kettlebell thing in the middle of the night if anybody's heard my story before, they know that at one point I was basically in this house. I'm getting ready to lose the house. The relationship's over, didn't have much left in the house. And what I did, I got off of work. The first thing I did is I just drank whiskey until I passed out and fell asleep, right? I was really good at drinking whiskey, man. I mean, really good. But there was one night in particular where I was like, hey man, this is it, brother. It's time to check out. And I didn't, you know, uh, damn it, I didn't want to go there. But yeah, so I ordered this kettlebell thing, right? And it comes in the mail, and it's like a 10-pound kettlebell, like a 15-pound kettlebell, maybe a 5-pound kettlebell. I don't know. And it had these 3 workout DVDs, and one was kettlebell burn, one was like kettlebell something, and kettlebell abs. I don't know. But as goofy as it was, I finally started to put the DVD in and playing with it, right? I had no idea what a kettlebell was. I probably called it a kettlebell. Fuck, I don't know. But I started doing it, and they were half-hour little things, and during that half hour, alone in the house that I'm losing, in my own self-pity and misery, um, my mind was on something again. Like, even though this shit was silly, like these silly moves at the time, I was like, oh, I got to figure out how to do this, because that's who I am, right? I want to do this really well. And going back to this Clint guy, which I owe a lot of me getting into coaching from him, because he was the only one that really said, you have to do this, right? Everybody else was like, you can't leave a state job. You got benefits. You can't do that. You're an idiot. You're 35 years old, dude. Don't do it. Don't quit that job, you dumbass, right? But anywho, I call him over, and I'm like, well, I didn't call him over. We were supposed to be working, and we drove to my house, and I threw in the DVD, and so we did this little kettlebell workout thing together. And prior to that, throughout from high school on, Clint and I used to gym rat together, so we did the old standard, grip and rip shit, right?
all the presses,
all that stuff, right? And so we go through a real workout thing, and he's like, hey man, I was sweating. That little 10-pounder thing, it was doing.
I don't hear you. Where'd you go? Oh,
We back?
yes, there we go.
Oh,
Yay. I started
so,
like literally panicking again, because
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
texting. I'm like, oh, what do I
yeah,
do? Okay,
yeah.
good. We're back.
So anywho, he's like, hey man, I can see some stuff in that this could be some benefit, but I'll just stick to the barbell, And I go, whatever, right? But because he was a little more tech savvy at the time, I wasn't on the internet really back then, right? He looked up kettlebells, and he found Pavel in the or at the time it was the RKC stuff, right? And now they're working with big kettlebells, and they're talking like military talk, and it's like this hard ass little community.
Yeah.
And so he sent me a link. He goes, check this stuff out, Jeff. And I was like, oh yeah, I can see this, because I started to look at the certifications and stuff, and you had to have a snatch test. It had a rite of passage, right? I needed something that had a rite of passage. I just couldn't show up to something and be somebody or something, right? I needed to work for something, And it was quite apparent to me, because we ordered Enter the Kettlebell. It was one of Pavel's first things, and it came with a 24-kilogram kettlebell. And I've been playing with a 10, 15, 20-pounded purple rubber coated thing, right? And this like chunk of iron shows up and just beat the living shit out of me, like, holy hell, right? But that sparked an interest in me. I was like, now this is something that I could get behind, because it's hard, it requires skill, it requires focus, and it requires something that I needed at the time, like, like getting good at something, right? And the brotherhood, the community, the team, all that stuff, right? So I started diving into that, and then that, through getting back into stuff, I got back into martial arts, and I've been taking Kaju Kimbo with and really just starting to feel some confidence again. Still hating the job, still doing all that stuff, right? But I had this new fire, this like kind of a new mission, I was like, God dang it, this feels kind of good, right? So one thing led to another. My martial arts instructor, I've been practicing this stuff for a while, and then my martial arts instructor let me bring kettlebells into the gym, and so I started teaching what I knew, and then I realized that this is something that I can no longer self-teach, because there's way much more into this, right? And back then it was fairly new, right? And there was no kettlebell instructors in Mount Vernon, right? So I did some research, and then I found Andrea Chang, which teaches you how to do this stuff I mean, down to like move your toe an eighth of an inch type of teaching, right? So I didn't have, I was like, screw it, man. It's 60 miles away, but I'm going to set up a session with this Andrea, and I want to go down and just see what I can learn, right? And I went down there, and that was the first time that I had a professional coaching session. Like, so when I say that I never thought I'd be a fitness or a coach, I saw what a coach can be, not just somebody walking around with a clipboard trying to make me buy a package, at a certain
Yeah.
gym or the other, right? It was like somebody that was like, not going to be nice, was going to feed me the real deal. If my technique was shitty, she was going to check it, right? And I liked that. I really did, right? And then so I did a couple sessions with her, and then she told me about this thing called the HKC back in the day, which was a one-day users course type of thing. And I would say I was probably from the 250, maybe I'm down to the 220 now, starting to feel a little more confident, starting to get a little stronger. And that Clint guy, here he is again. He signed up for it with me, and we went down there to Seattle, and I met Czar Horton, and I met a couple other just amazing coaches and amazing men, that really just were good role models, right? And so I went through the cert, and at the end of the day, they brought us back individually and talked to us, and they told Clint, Clint was an ex-Marine, and he was in good shape, and I was kind of doughboy still or whatever. They're like, Clint, we could really see you going somewhere with this stuff, and I didn't get the same talk, it wasn't, it wasn't obvious to them that one day I would be a kettlebell instructor, right? But it was great. But that lit a fire in me, right? And then so my martial arts instructor, rest in peace, he got cancer, and at the time we had a martial arts studio in the Cascade Mall in Burlington, Washington, and we had our ring in there, and it was a really nice setup. And my instructor was coaching this kind of new age preacher guy, right? Like looks like Steve Austin, drove a Harley, and did Muay Thai and all that stuff at our studio. And once the cancer thing happened, he's like, check it out, man. We have this gym at our church. And it was like this old school Hoosier style gym, whatever. And he's like, I want you guys to move in there. No rent. You just move in there, and all you have to do is give back to the church. I don't even care if you go to church. You just have to give back in one way or the other, right?
What a cool offer.
Yes. So we moved into that church, and I've been getting a little bit better with the kettlebells and stuff, and I said, well, how I would like to give back, I would love to offer a kettlebell class in the mornings for donations, right? That's it. And, so next thing you know, it's during the summertime, we would start work earlier at the DOT. So 5 a.m. in the morning, we started doing this kettlebell class, right? And Clint and I were co-teaching at the time. And, started out with 5 people, word got out. And at one point, we would have sometimes 15 to 20 people in there in the mornings, right? And still, I'm not in that, like, I'm going to be a coach for this stuff, right? I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I feel good about giving back, and it's fun. And then Clint, he's like, brother, this is it. When you're doing this, you are the Jeff Sokol you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? And
that's cool. He saw that. Like
yeah.
He must have known this. That is a great friend. He knew you in there years before, and that's a good friend.
Yeah. And a little side story, amazing about how small the world is we joined at the same time, right, in the military. And we had this last weekend hoorah thing at Deception Pass State Park, right? And it was another friend of ours, Rob Smith, who also was joining the Marines. And So we're on top. We climbed up on top of the concession stand there, right? And we're just hanging out, talking. And the wind had blown sand over cement, right? Which we couldn't see because it's nighttime.
Oh, no.
We had a couple drinks. We tried to set a squirrel on fire that ate our hot dogs when we were gone. But anyways, it's just a bunch of dumb shit, right? But we decide we're going in the military, man. We're not climbing down. We're jumping off this sucker, right? So I, I jumped first, and I hit the ground, and I did a parachute landing fall. Luckily, I just, and then as I turn around, I'm like, don't jump. And then Clint lands like clank, ankle break. So
Shit.
yeah, so he has a delayed entry. So I go in, and I had no idea where he was gonna be at, and I was ahead of him in there, right? So, like I said, I was stationed in Coronado, and we were doing some amphibious, like mock amphibious landing training around Camp Pendleton, and I'm sitting on the sand berm, and all of a sudden this Humvee comes by with student driver, and in the back of it is Clint. Yeah. He's like, well, he was like young Marine, so he was trying to be like fly Marine, like
Yeah.
Sokol. And holy shit. And then in Mogadishu in Somalia, I was at a checkpoint, and I hear Sokol, and here comes Clint in Africa running across the grinder to give me a big hug. So we have a connection, right? So when you say good friend, you're exactly right.
No, it's like those are far and few between.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he is 100% like, dude, you're gonna coach. This is what you're doing, brother. This is it, man. And he made me believe. He really did, right? And then that guy I was telling the story about a little earlier, he set my fuse off again, and I watched, not really having a game plan, right? I walked over to the superintendent's office, and I said, hey, man, I've never left a job. I've never burnt a bridge, but I'm done. I'll give you my 2 weeks, but you keep this man away from me, type of situation. So now I'm like, well, I got to figure something out. So I still had the house for a while, and I didn't want to be a low life. So I was doing everything I could do to pay that mortgage, including credit card, right? So I was just getting myself in a mess, right? But anywho, I said, you know what? If I give an honest go at this, if I do it for 2 weeks, awesome. At least I gave it a go. If it lasts longer than that, even better, right? So I was like, screw it, man. I'm going to dive deep into this. And, I've been training with that Andrea a few times, and she said, hey, buddy, if you want to work your way into this industry, again, 60 miles one way to get there, drive down here, help around the studio, learn, sit in and watch classes and do all that stuff. And we'll see where it goes, right? Mm-hmm. So I did that. I was driving 120 miles a day, going down there, putting in my time. And then she had given me my first client, which was this wonderful human being named Marjana King. She was
you had her for a long time.
Yeah, right. Yes. She was 72 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Had let herself get a little deconditioned, right? And her mission, she had 2 years until her son was going to be done wrapping up this documentary in Morocco. And her mission was, I want to go to this thing, and I don't want anybody carrying my bags. I don't want, I want to go on tours, and I don't want to hold anybody back. I just want to be strong enough to go celebrate my son's achievement and have the best time of my life, right? So we literally started doing deadlifts on like 5 yoga blocks with a 10 kg kettlebell and like get-ups to the elbow, body weight squats. Before she left, she was doing full get-ups. She was doing 5x5 deadlifts with 48 kilograms. and she was doing 100 swings up to 24 kgs, but
And what was her age? And say her age again,
she was
just for
72
all
at
of
the
the.
time. Yeah, she was
Okay.
72 at the time.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And she had a downstairs um, a basement apartment type of thing in Edmonds, Washington. And she's like, Jeff, you're driving back and forth, you're doing all this stuff, you're losing your house. She said, I want you to live down there, cut your commute way down, and stay here until you build enough clients so you can get your own place. And it's like all this stuff, like anybody that has like a silly little dream of trying to do something they're passionate about, there's stuff like this that goes along the way, right? So
Yeah.
her generosity helped me build my clients, helped me become like a full-time employee at Kettlebells. And through that exposure at Kettlebells, I was exposed to the best coaches in the industry with workshops. Pavel himself would come there, and and I just fell in love with the art of coaching, and it is an art.
Yes.
It's not just, it's different, right? I mean, if you're going to connect with people and you're going to have clients for 5 to 6 years, seeing them 1 to 3 times a week, it's more than just go over there and swing a kettlebell, right? In my opinion, like you connect with people, you love them and they love you, and it's a
It's a
beautiful thing.
relationship. Like
Yeah,
you are
yeah,
developing a relationship. And
yeah.
I will be the first to say that, like, I know I'm not everybody's flavor, just
Hmm.
like finding a therapist. Like
Right.
it takes sometimes a bit to find a counselor or therapist that you connect, because it is relationship and it is an art. I so agree. I hope that the listeners have paid attention to how long your journey is, because and I know you see this, because I was trying to think today too. It's like, how long have I think you were in your 30s when I first met you. That's how long I've known you.
Yeah, I
You were
was
you were
teaching a workshop at a gym, and you went with, I think, Roblos or whatever.
Yeah,
Adrian.
yeah, and but you were still in your 30s, and
Yeah,
like the a lot of, because of social media, again, there's the perks and then there's a lot of cons, and I think one of the cons that pushes is that you can follow an influencer, you can go to YouTube and you can be trained and become a coach.
yeah,
And like, if your journey, I know my journey as well, I've been in this industry 35 years, like
yeah,
that is 10, you have just shown, like you're driving 120 miles a day to better yourself as a coach and to absorb and eat all that you can, all
hmm,
things fitness, so that you can learn. Like, that is a lost art, and it
right,
is an art of coaching, and you are willing to put in the time and the discipline and the energy, and I love that, and I think that's so important that
yeah,
you keep hammering that home.
yeah. It is, right, and it doesn't matter what you want to do, man. If you want
Yeah.
to be
Oh
a
yeah.
painter, if you want to be whatever you want to do in life, if you're not willing to do the work for it, don't just shut up. You know what I mean? There's no entitlement in this
Yeah.
shit. You
Yeah.
do the work or you don't. Real
Yeah.
freaking simple, right? And there's
Yeah.
nobody to blame. Like nobody to blame. Um, but um, but yeah, and then as you
Joseph.
know, after Kettlebells, we had our little time together at Elite Sports and Spine, and
Oh.
there was at points of that it was a wonderful, wonderful experience where
Mm-hmm.
I got to go beyond the coaching a little bit
Yep.
and work with some awesome athletic trainers, and our crew there, man. They were
Oh.
great. Maddie Ball Game and everybody, and it was amazing, and that really helped enhance my career for
Yeah,
sure.
bringing in some of the rehab stuff. When
Yeah,
Scott approached me he knew he wanted to grow his chiropractic rehab business into more a performance. Um, like, I was super excited because at that time, my education and training had changed, and I wanted to bring in some of what we've learned. Hi, Joseph. Okay, so my buddy Joseph, he just messaged like he's hot. And yes, Jeff is very butch and very masculine. Yes, he's hot. So if you Joseph in New York City thinks you're hot, my dear
Thanks,
Joseph.
Joseph.
He calls me Peaches. But
Uh,
that was like those were, and Joyce was there, like, and now I know Joyce is training to do her
yeah,
freaking, like, those were amazing times. And then from
yeah.
there we went to Sisu, and things
Hmm.
changed a little
Hmm.
bit because of leadership change. But that really digging into the prehab rehab world and bringing that into movement was
Yeah,
a game changer for me as well.
yeah. And then the beauty of like how this path of mine has gone, it's every place I've been has opened like another door. You know, meeting
Yeah.
Molly, right? When
Yeah.
Molly first met me, she was like, "Who is this kettlebell psycho?" Right? Who is this guy? It's all
And that
he
was at
thinks
Elite
about.
too,
Yeah,
right?
that
Wasn't
was
that at
that.
Elite?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that was at Elite, and I talked her into doing a session with me. You
Yep.
know, and we did a session, and next thing you know, I'm helping her and her husband get certified, right? And
Yep. I remember.
yeah, and then now I'm at like, to me, the Fieldhouse Gym is the epitome of being in the fitness industry. It's one of those
Mm-hmm.
places, and some people can probably relate, when you drive up, there's not one car in the parking lot that I go, shit, I don't want to see this prick today. You know what I mean? It's everybody there, everybody on the team is tight. Everybody cares about each other. There's no cutthroat stuff. There's no backstabbing. There's none of that. It's 100% support, and that is Molly.
Oh, it rolls downhill.
Yeah,
That is what she,
yeah.
and she's always brought that. I knew her at Zoom eons ago,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just who
Thanks, be
she
so cool.
is. That's but that's just who she is. I love
Yeah.
what you said. Boy, wouldn't it be great if all aspects in our life, whenever we pulled up to some place, we never had shit. Like
Yeah.
somebody is there that we're like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I have no idea how long the Fieldhouse Gym is going to be around. I have no idea where whatever. But it's definitely my happy place. It's I get to be who I am there.
yep.
We make jokes all the time that says that I'm the HR officer. I think people know that I'm coming from a place of love, and I may say shit that offends people on accident and all that stuff, but thank God they give me the grace to still be Jeff Sokol, because I would not be there, if I can't, have a little leniency about who I
But
am,
that's how
the way my eyes see the world, not your eyes, the way,
yes.
just let me be me. I'm not never out to hurt anybody. I may not agree with you and whatever, but
And that's okay.
and that's the
My
beauty of
gosh.
a gym,
Yeah.
right? It's like, for 60 minutes, like if I'm teaching a class, we're all together. We're all from different walks of life. We've all had different experiences, but put all the fucking bullshit aside and just get stronger together for 60 minutes, right? That's it. And that's what we do there,
And
you know?
and it's so important. Like, I was always, I was working for that huge corporation, and so talk
Mm-hmm.
about an HR, risk.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
were always like, I'm the HR risk. I never changed how I talk. I never changed how I showed up. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's so important. And at that time, my manager, Claire, who brought me in, like, she valued who I was. And when someone that's above us or in leadership values who you are and they don't try to chip away, that's when you flourish.
That's
And
right.
you, Jeff, you flourish because you show up in who you are. And I think it's so important today, especially because there's so much bullshit out there that is fucking trying to chip away at authenticity. And that's, again, what I want these platforms to be. They try to, everybody's so hyper offended. It's like, what happened to people's fucking sense of humor? And it is okay if you disagree. Like, I read the article that Tim Kennedy posted about the SEALs are getting investigated because of a
Love
way
that.
that they're trying. Like, what the fuck? I want
Yeah.
a brutal, kick ass. I got two boys in the military. I don't
Yeah.
want them being weenie pussies training.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
hello. They need to be able to buck up.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
right.
just
That's right.
you and I've seen you like you flourish. I can't imagine you. Well, you wouldn't last long in an environment where Jeff Sokol can't show up as Jeff Sokol and share the gifts and the talents that he has because that is who you are, my friend. You
Oh
are
yeah.
just
I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
no, no, and
No.
it's part of the
I'd
fun.
rather
It's like
I'd rather
all
eat
these.
top ramen and live in a sleeping bag underneath a fucking bridge than try and be somebody that I'm not in that environment. I got into coaching because I needed passion in my life.
Yeah,
I
and
needed
you
it. And
brought
it
that,
brings
and you
me
bring it.
passion. And anybody that tries to take that away from me ain't gonna happen, man. Ain't
That's
gonna
right.
happen. It
No,
ain't
and
gonna
that
happen.
passion, bro, is like why I wanted you to. I love you too, Lamar. Lamar said, "Love you guys," but
Yeah.
it's like that's why I wanted you training my boys when they were younger. Like I like if anybody has the opportunity to train with you and be in your presence because it's more than just getting stronger. It's you bring in experience, Jeff. I mean, you really do. And you know, I just adore you and love
Yeah.
you. And I love who you are in every way, all your idiosyncrasies, all your, I'd love for you to not apologize as much as you do. Fuck
I
them
know.
if they can't appreciate who
Yeah.
you are, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And you know I feel the same about you, my friend.
Hmm.
100%.
Hmm. I
100%.
I think it's really cool. Like your, okay, so your physical strength, you've got this mental toughness that you
Working on
have
it.
been, but that I was about to say that you are working on, but I think it's important to know that you still are vulnerable in certain areas and like
Mm.
you are still a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. Again, you've got all these muscles on you and you do have the grit and the mental toughness, but that's just not all who you are. Is that right?
Oh yeah. No, 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 no. I spent the majority of my life basically, and when people ask, it's like one foot on a banana peel, the other foot in a loony bin or in a pine box, you know, and just
Yeah.
trying to find that balance, right?
Yeah.
And if it hadn't have been for coaching and finding that passion, I wouldn't be here. There's no way. There's
Yeah.
no way that I'd be here, you know. And I still battle these things all the time. I've recently, over the last 2 years, really started to seek therapy to finally try and get to the bottom of what what these things are that push me
Yeah.
into the dark sides, you know.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it's hard, you know. And for those, I think it's been really nice seeing like some of these hardcore men out there on the social medias opening
Mhm.
up and talking
Mhm.
about their struggles more and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I mean, where I was raised, you didn't show weakness
Yeah.
at any point, right? And
Yeah.
to understand that seeking help and asking for help that's true strength, right? If you can't admit that you have a weakness, that's a fucking weakness, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
and maybe it's not a weakness, it's just a thing, you know. Um, but yeah, you got to do the work. You got to seek help. You got to surround yourself with people that are going to help pull you up. You know, there's a lot out there, especially for veterans and people like that are feeling
Yes.
lost and they've lost their community and their little brotherhood and they're out there trying to figure it out all on their own. It's not going to work, man. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you need to dive deeper into that. And I know personally that the VA is in a much better place than it used to be. They're a lot, a little more proactive, and it's not as much about just take these pills and call me in the morning, which it still is in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't be afraid to seek that help. It's out there. There's a lot of volunteer communities. There's a lot of things out there, and yeah, as many times as I thought I should be gone, I'm happy that I'm still here.
Well, of course, there are many of us that feel that way, Jeff, and I can't help but wonder, when you're talking, and um, I have another dear friend that was special. His world is special ops. He was a
Oh yeah,
spy.
tough guy,
Also,
tough.
he taught. Is it SARS? Like the
Hmm.
high end military. Like he's now out and he struggles daily. And again, being a military mama that I never thought I would be at, I'm constantly and then being good friends with you as long as I have, and knowing the struggles. Like it's so I can't help but
Thank
believe
you.
that part of your purpose is not just teaching people kettlebell and how to be stronger and move better with that, but I really believe that you have a story to continue to share and a message that is, especially in the military world and the ex-military, that because there's a programming there, and you have to be vulnerable enough to have the courage and be brave enough to share that for other dudes, especially dudes. I think women were a little more, even women from the military, but I think we're a little more apt to reach out. But I think I think you're here for even more than just kettlebells, Jeff, especially when it comes to our vets and military. And I feel so passionate about offering avenues and ways to help those that have served, because you do all this years of programming this to be this, and then you're done. What do you do with all this programming and this way of being? And popping a pill does not change this.
Right.
We've talked about different strategies that are now available. I know there's a Dr. Pat, and I want to follow her, but she is really trying to lean into more holistic ways to change the brain. I know there's the psychedelic exploration that's done a lot of amazing
Yes.
change for brain patterns. And also, I value and appreciate you so much for taking the risk to talk about these hard things, Jeff, because it's so important, and a lot of people aren't strong enough yet to be that open.
Yeah. Yeah. It is important, right? It really is. And most people, like for me, my PTSD and that was long before the military, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But that stuff, some of the stuff there, and I had it easy, right? I mean, like I said, these guys, nowadays, I mean, I had one hard deployment. I mean, these savages are just nonstop, nonstop, and and I think one of the biggest hard things, like you say for your friend, is he was a leader and he had a team and he had a unit and he had people that relied on him and he relied on them, and then you go from that, like these tip of the spear guys that are just in it, man. I mean, just in it, and then all of a sudden you're working at a bank or something, or it's like, what the fuck, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think like for a lot of them, it's like getting into jujitsu, getting into kettlebells,
Yes.
getting
Yeah.
getting getting into something where you have another brotherhood of sorts, or a sisterhood,
Yes.
where you're going through some struggles together, like like doing some physical stuff, right?
Yes.
And relying on somebody to show up, and all that stuff, versus just trying to get out and just just be a normal member of society. It's not
Yeah.
great for a lot of
But
a lot of them,
this doesn't change that quickly. And like what
No.
he said, he was saying, he was like, because all this training to be very calm, and the where bombs are going, like you have to be calm, so then you get out of the military or this high level service. What do you do in these very still moments?
Right.
Like because, and people don't understand. And like for instance, that again, that article that's
Right, Lamar.
investigating the SEALs about the way they're training, like what are we do, like seriously, like what are we doing trying to soften and make pussies out of, like you there has to be compartments for different roles and the different ways we show up for mental
Yeah.
toughness. Like there
Yeah.
just has to be, and it really makes me crazy. And I'm a boy mom, and I'm all about that. I think it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
important. You can be kind as a dude. You can be regard authority, respectful. I want them to love natures, and you can still be a brute and very, very masculine. I mean, I like a masculine dude. I tell you that
Yeah.
right
Oh
now.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
My
That's
husband's
it.
very masculine, like ooh, and he's a
Yeah.
sweet teddy bear on top
Yeah.
of it. So
Yeah.
you can find
Yeah.
both. But
That whole attack on masculinity is I
oh,
could
don't
go
get
into
me
that,
started.
yeah, for days and days.
Being a
But
boy mom, don't get me started.
yeah, and when you're talking about, I just want to recommend a book that I
Oh,
just
please,
recently
because
listened
I
to.
was going to ask you before we shut up. I was going to say the best book you've read or one that you would pass along.
Well, right, the most recent one
Okay.
is called The Comfort Crisis, and
Ah.
it's a great read, oh, I got it on audiobook because I'm a knuckle dragger and I get cross-eyed after about 2 pages. Uh, the Comfort Crisis, just kind of dives into, I mean, when you're just so comfortable all the time and you got your self-driving cars and your Ubers and your thises and that's, it seems like we're not meant to just be comfortable, right? Yet that you create drama unnecessarily to feed that human urge of needing something tough. I don't know, but that's not just what all that book is about. But it's a really good read, and I highly recommend, if you're just kind of in that phase and it's like, I'm depressed. Well, maybe you're depressed because you're too fucking comfortable, right? You don't have anything like forcing you to get out there and to conquer something, to like,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's as simple as, you hate walking and you hate getting up at 5 in the morning. Well, maybe you should get up at 5 in the morning and walk then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to give you at least a sense of accomplishment. Like I do the
Mm-hmm.
cold shower thing, right? I don't do it because I love it. I do it because it starts my day with doing something that I don't necessarily want to do, right? That warm shower would feel much better, but that getting in that cold and embracing that little short moment of suck, and as simple as that is, it carries over into my day. It really does. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be extreme. You don't have to go hire an ex-Navy SEAL and go down to San Diego and get the fuck beat out of you for no
I
reason,
don't have to be David Goggins. You don't have to
No.
go that route.
Yeah.
Though
Yeah.
I
But
do, I like his
I
message
do
to some
too.
degree, but he's a little way over here for me.
There is a dichotomy to all that stuff as well, right? But
Right.
yeah, it doesn't have to be hard, man. It's
Yeah.
just get out of your comfort zone from time to time, and that could be in a workout, that could be in anything. But yeah, if you find that you're in this grind of just this normal everyday shit, and you're getting Uber every day, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're getting DoorDash, and you just everything is so easy, maybe try and do something hard, like sign up for some rucking competition or something. I don't know,
Yeah. I mean, there's many, like a language, an instrument. Like it
anything.
doesn't have to be physical, but like the heart of a student, I think
Yeah.
is really, really important, because again, that carries over into how we parent. How are we a coworker? How are we a neighbor? Like, how are we a community? How are we a village? Like, if we're constantly sucking on everybody's tits and we're not providing milk ourselves, like how are we contributing to part of the problem out there? And I think, what you talk about, doing something hard. Steve, my husband has always said that he hit about being too easy, too comfortable. He talks about affairs. And because it's no secret, he and I had an affair 30 years ago. And he was like, I really think that with each other, and of course, we're now married. Let me just clarify that. But he was like, I really think a lot of affairs happen because people get bored,
Mm-hmm.
lazy. Like you made a mention of creating drama, like creating something in your life. Well, we can use that creativity to learn a new instrument or take food to your neighbor. Like
Yeah.
there are really simple ways to lean into suck
Yeah.
And again, I hate to be extreme because I think people take it and run with it
They
to
do.
an unhealthy way. But like the cold shower thing, I'm from the South, and you know your friend here is always cold, and I like my warm weather and my hot sun. But I end all my showers now with cold, and it's got like when I haven't done it in a while, it's like I fucking hate it, and then something happens, right?
Yeah.
Something happens where it's like up
Yeah.
here.
I've overcome it. Yeah. I'm not going to die. It ain't going to kill me,
No,
you know?
no, yeah, and I
I'm going
really
to be
hate it.
uncomfortable for a minute, but
But then something changes up here in our perspective, the way we look at it, the way we embrace it. Like, and I know, like, if I can do cold water, anybody can do cold water, because people that know me well know, like Lamar, who has been watching when we shared an office together. I'd always try to turn the heat up. He would always start sweating. You know, my husband says that, my boys say that. So any way to lean in a little discomfort that challenges and strengthens because that's my brain, that's where I keep going.
yeah.
Strengthening our grit, our toughness is really
Yeah.
important.
That's right.
So the book is Comfort Crisis. You
Yeah.
recommend. Okay, I've got one more question for you. I know we need to go. Dude, I could be talking to you for fucking ever.
I know. I know.
Like
Yeah.
that's what we do. And I didn't even get to half the things that I wanted to.
We'll do it again.
Yes, we will. Absolutely. Because I want, again, if anybody can count on anything, it'll be like these platforms are going to be where we talk real. We're going to talk real. We're going to
Yeah.
get real.
I
Okay. Do
love
you
it.
have a favorite series you're going through right now
Um,
or have watched?
uh, well, I love the Terminal List. Jack
Oh, okay.
Carr. He's and mostly I love his books. Right, they're
Okay.
great. Great books. Ex Navy SEAL dude. You know, really great writer. So I've read all of his books, and then Prime did a Terminal List thing. But
Yep. Yep.
honestly, I'm trying to stay away from TV as much as humanly
Yep.
possible. You know.
Okay. I
Yeah,
figured as
I've
much,
been
but I
doing a
thought
lot
I'd
more
check.
podcasting, audio booking, and that type of stuff, right? That's
Yep.
what people don't realize. There's a ton of coaches out there that are, and that's on a podcast. That's in a book. That's somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's somebody out there that if you look, they might not be knowing they're coaching you, but they're coaching you.
Abso-freaking-lutely. There's
It's
always
out there.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw like just always coming home and getting on the computer or getting on the TV or just numbing yourself through that, right? There's
Yep.
there's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of good things that that are going to do you a hell of a lot better. And then, if you're going to do yourself any favors at all, be aware of what's happening in this world. But if politics is your religion, you might as well just fucking punch yourself in the face, because you're never going to find peace. You're never going to find happiness if that's your driving force, and if that's what feeds your actions every day is political, especially in today's environment. If that's your go-to, if that's your spiritual leader, then you need to unplug. You need to step away. You need to get out of that shit.
Get in
There
the
is nothing.
mountains.
Yes, and that's my mission right now.
I know. I know.
I am trying as much time as I can possibly spend in the mountains. That's my happy place.
Yep.
That's the place where the world is beautiful. There's
Yes.
nothing that's not beautiful out there. There's nobody out there like trying to say you're a fucking white buff dude. You're a straight white male, so you're a bad person. There's no tree telling me that. There's no meadow that's giving me shit about who I am. It's just me, nature, and yeah, like I can't recommend nature time enough.
But we have science now to show that it actually changes our nervous system. Like being
Yes,
out in nature, when we are so blessed to live in a part of the country that it is so
yes,
accessible. Like
that's right.
anywhere you
Yeah,
turn,
yeah,
you've got this ridiculous beauty that's free,
yeah. Just waiting
right
for you.
at that's right here. And when we moved here, like I said, my youngest was going to the kindergarten, the middle was third grade, and my oldest was going to ninth grade. And I grew up near the Smoky Mountains, so I already loved the outdoors. And then you move here, And for here, it's like the Seattle area. You're like, when I went back to Knoxville to visit family to the Smoky Mountains, I remember after being here several years, I remember looking, thinking, this is like Issaquah. These are like small little butts because you get used to the mountains. But one of my goals in raising my boys, like I mentioned, was I wanted to raise great husbands, and I really will put money on the bank that they are and will be great husbands. I wanted them to be contributors to society in a positive way, be respectful, and love the outdoors.
Yeah.
And I will say, and so when I'm like every summer, most of these peers that I lived around, they'd put their boy or their kids in camp all summer. And I told the boys, I was like, bro, I'm your motherfucking camp. We are going to explore. And it would get on their nerves. And I would take them camping because Steve was working to pay the bills. So I was the play, I took them camping. I took them hiking. I did all these different things with them. And now as young adult men, they love the outdoors. They're going to be great. So the outdoors, to what you said, and I know you've had a goal of getting all these hikes in. You've done some amazing hikes. It really changes the way we look at things. It changes your chemistry. It makes you feel like you can breathe, and there's this huge exhale in your system when you go.
Yeah. And if I could give like local hikers like some advice, number one, do not bring a Bluetooth speaker out there.
Oh my gosh.
Backpack. I don't want to hear your music. Number two, there's no need for cologne in the mountains.
Oh my God.
I mean, just go out there, a natural person, no headphones, no nothing, and listen to the sounds of the water, listen to the sounds of the breeze, smell nature, be aware, just
the Bluetooth thing
around here that are close to the city, and it's like, hey, I'm trying to escape that, right? So I don't need to be in like the smell of a Macy's perfume era, right? I just want to, but anyway, so get out there.
And I don't want to hear a concert right now.
Be prepared. Don't go out there in flip flops. Have a backpack, have water, be smart. There's a lot of that out there too. But definitely don't put on a bunch of cologne or perfume, and don't have a freaking Bluetooth speaker. That would be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's just being mindful that people are getting in the outdoors because they want some serenity and and I love my rap music. I love my rap music. I don't like your hard rock music, but I don't like it when I'm trying to have serenity in the outdoors.
That's
it's just kind of a thing.
That's it. But nature. If you're gonna go out in nature, be in nature.
And I know a lot of
let it heal you. Let it
heal
inspire you. Let it
inspire you.
Yeah, don't be in a hurry. Take a seat, smell, hug a tree, whatever.
Yeah. And I know, like in the military community, that has been a bit like outdoors hunting with bow and arrow. Those type of things are real. They're really finding changes pathways. Well, my friend, I feel like we need to wrap this up. We've been talking an hour and 20 minutes. Is there, and it's flown by, is there, how we'll be reading these articles and you have someone in their 80s and they say the things they wish they had known that they want to pass on, or they're on deathbed, the things I wish I had done. Can you leave us with one or two things that you have learned, because you have a very rich life that you've lived and that you are continuing to live, and you are very wise in your Jeff Sokol years. Are there two or one? Can you leave us with something that you have learned that you wish you had done differently, that you can tell the audience to inspire them? Something hard, something easy, something pretty, something ugly. What you got?
Well, I just simply wish that I would have started the process of trying to find true inner peace sooner, not waiting until I was 48 years old. Like seeked help, been more vulnerable, been, not just try and keep everything inside and try and fix it on my own, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I wish I would have done that. I'm doing it now. And it's hard as
You
shit.
are.
It's fucking hard as shit. But yeah, I wish I would have started that process a lot easier
Okay.
or a lot sooner, right?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
if you can't show up for yourself, you're never going to show up for others. And, I'm
Absolutely.
finally learning how to show up for myself. I mean, it's easy for me to show up for people in the gym and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but just, yeah, I just wish I would have been a little more vulnerable earlier in life and asked for help sooner.
I think that's really important. And whether it's asking for help for mental health or asking for help, because I know our kind, you'll be the first to offer your shirt to someone, but to say, I need help carrying this load, not, it could be figuratively or literally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're not real good with that or
Yeah.
boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a great place to end on, is that inner peace. And I know that you're doing it, and to nod that it is fucking hard. And that's why a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't do it.
That's right.
It's fucking hard. And it feels like shit
Yeah.
when you're going through
Yes.
peeling layers of the onion off and you're working through something that, I mean, hell, that's why we create these strategies, right? Food,
Yep.
drink, sex,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, exercise also, so you don't have to feel some of that. And it
Yeah.
is hard. And
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. I
Well,
just
thank you.
adore you.
Well, I
I
adore you.
just adore you. And I love that our paths continue to do this. And I
Yes.
know they always will. And I really appreciate you hopping on with me today. I do want to do this again. So
Anytime.
um, if you're not, follow me, because I will be letting you know who we'll be speaking with moving forward on Fridays. And Jeff, if you want to train with, and this is, of course, how I introduce you, Jeff, because I was telling my class, and this is when I was trying to bring you into Halo as well. As like, we need this coach for Halo. He is one of the best, and y'all already know this, one of the best kettlebell coaches in the world. Not Washington, not the West Coast,
I don't.
not even the, well, I will tell you right now, it is absolutely the truth. You are one of the best kettlebell coaches in the world, and because you are an amazing human and an amazing man, and I love you dearly. And I would send anybody, well, I have, including my offspring, anybody your way. And I just so appreciate you, Jeff. I appreciate you being so vulnerable today and sharing your story. And I know you are here for such an important purpose.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too. And reach out with questions. Give Jeff a big thank you. I love you. And we will see you next time. Thanks, friend.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.